Hi, and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Tuesday, January 18th, 2022, and the topic for the day is called Sky Run Amok. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening December 16th through the 18th, 2021. And yes, I did say 2021 because there's a time frame of photos, a little bank of them that we didn't get done, or I didn't get done rather, into a show, and I really want to document it before we move full swing into 2022. This is show number 142. Let's see what we've got going on. And before we jump into the sky observations, I'd like to say good day. Osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, kedu, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobrohonya, annyeonghaseyo, boa tarde, dobry aloha winala, kalimera, hudenda, and good day. Now this starter image is pretty interesting. This stick just kind of literally fell on my path. It's oak. It's a live oak branch, and so the little spirit words, wisdom, and spirit of the day page. I'm just saying oak, Dair, Permanence. So I want to continue with the theme of the ogham that I covered in a previous show, and you can see up here in the upper right. The oak is one of them, and in one of the ogham interpretations for the tree alphabet, the old Celtic tree alphabet or tree alphabet of Old Ireland, says, that oak represents strength, and I think we mostly know that one, but it also can mean permanence or, a type of vitality that is everlasting. And that comes from excerpts from a book called Roots Insights from the Tree Alphabet of Old Ireland by Olivia Wylie. And the message from there in that excerpt, and up here in the upper right is also excerpts from that same book. The message is for oak, do not shout your convictions aloud. Stand by them every day. That speaks more loudly. And I like that quote because it does make sense that if you just live in your truth and stand by your convictions, live them, then there's actually no need to shout them. And even if there is, you've already kind of demonstrated, your pattern and where you stand firmly. So I think that's all I want to say about this for now. Also, I have a little disclaimer. My voice sounds weird and is a little all over the place today, just because my sleep patterns have been really off, and I only have a limited time to record this before I can catch up on that sleep. So anyway, bear with me, I hope, and let's move on. All right, so this is happening in Miami. All of these coming up are going to be in the skies over Miami, Florida. Whether you're new or returning to this channel, thank you so much for being here. If you are new, I'll give a quick little intro. Otherwise, I invite you to look at some of my previous shows for more extensive ones. And if you are returning, you're going to probably want to skip this bit until I'm done with this little intro and join back up with us later. Either way, here we go. Now, I am going to give a really short version on the intro, but also you'll get the gist if you're new, kind of what's going on as I move through the show itself. So first off, I would just like to say that I am looking at over the skies, up into the skies over Miami, on a daily basis or nightly. As I come and go, I just really observe the skies. I take a really good look 360 degrees around me and look up. And also at various times in the day. So I invite everybody, if you're not doing this already, to do it. Just every single day, look up 2 to 5 minutes or just sporadically during the day, whenever you're coming or going, and just really notice what's going on in the skies. I have tons of examples over all the previous shows of what I find as being high strangeness, tons of anomalies and oddities happening in our skies lately. And I'm finding a lot of cloaking craft, and that's why I say strange cloud activity in quotes down here as kind of little slide titles. Is cloud, I'm referring to cloaking material that is hiding craft. When I say cloaking material, I'm referring to plasma. That's just going to be my go-to word for it, which is just saying it's something heavier and denser than water vapor that stays around in the atmosphere for a long time and can cloak things pretty well, cling to them. And when I say craft, I am talking, yes, 3D craft. More than likely ET in origin, just because some of the intricacies in the way these things can cloak and how they behave, and sometimes just the sheer massive scale of them leads me to those conclusions. Also, I go by feel with a lot of this stuff, and I don't think I've really come across any. Yes, of course, there are 3D versions of craft that are absolutely human-made and military tech, and a lot of stuff we're not even being told about as a part of dark projects. But in my case, I think I'm just definitely dealing with more like the the ET-based craft, and that's all I'll say for now. I'm looking also at color signatures, various color signatures in the sky. I do note what I think is going on there if you look at the description box below, especially when we start to see some red-pink color signatures pop up. And I drop in letters here from time to time just to help me better focus and make sure I don't miss sight of any really big things happening in any given photo. Some photos are going to have so much going on I can't possibly get to everything and still keep a nice tight running time on the show. Now I'm going to say I have original photos and then I have enhanced photos. Here's an example of enhanced. When I say enhanced, I simply mean that I'm taking the original photo and editing attributes of it, such as color, saturation, brightness, and contrast, and really that's about it. Sometimes I might up or lower the levels of the color temperature, but that's about it. And that helps better highlight and pull out what I either see with my physical eyes, can guess is there, or feel that it's there. And I'm saying that because our physical eyes right now aren't so tuned to a lot of different dimensions and spectrums that we probably used to be able to see or are starting to remember to see. And so the camera helps us out with that. The camera phone has a much wider, vaster, not only color spectrum, but, range of photo and light sensitivity. Anyway, that's, I think all I'll say for now. I'm going to start to move on with all of this. But for right now, what caught my attention is not only the odd shapes and how insanely low in the sky these quote-unquote cloud formations were. Note, these aren't like any typical cloud formations of the past. They're two very different ones in character in this case. One's like launching up on an angle this way, while this is kind of doing its own thing down here. Seems to be another little piece kind of fraying off of it this way. Weird stuff happening here. It's like loosely put together, has no good integrity to it. So right away that flags me, gives me a red flag that we're dealing with artificial kind of cloaking material and not real clouds. Also, another giveaway that something's afoot here is, these white points, bright white. I cover this on probably every show. And whenever I see like crystalline pure white against either a darker monochromatic background or one with color, whether it's a grayscale or color scale, that tells me there's more than meets the eyes going on in and behind this material. Sometimes I even see absolute, perfect triangular forms, crystalline structures. Anyway, it's, these could be a number of things that I cover in previous shows. Have a look back there for what I talk about. So look at, even with this enhancement, I still get this bright white point, and it actually looks like it has dimension to it. So to me, this has got to be like a machine part sticking out. And actually, if you follow along my cursor, this is looking like a pipe with an open end over here. We have another cylindrical form here with mass to it. This has something like a triangular form popping off of here. Strange stuff going on in here too. So sometimes I can, get to more machine parts and things happening more clearly than others. In this case, there's so much particulate in the sky, and this was at such a distance and kind of dimming already towards sunset that that's the best my camera could do. So let's look at some better examples coming up anyway. Now we're going to look to north-northeast, also towards sunset. So what was strange is like from the north heading over to the southeast of the whole sky, we had these red-pink bands popping up, and what's more notable is where it isn't pink. So we've got this huge swath of dark shadow. This is supposedly the moon. A little bit of question mark there because it seems really close and really odd, and the way it's illuminating. Anyway, as you can see, we've got these red-pink bursts off to the sides, and then we have this huge swath of something else. So it's safe to assume, I believe anyway, that we would have had this red-pink signature going all the way across, but something's absolutely blocking that. The question is why? Because we're looking again to the north-northeast at a sunset. Nothing that we know of should be doing this over here in this warm color range. All of that should be happening over to the west if this were a typical original sky. Then we're going to look here. It's a little bit fuzzy, so pardon that. It's a little bit blurry, the original photo. But now we're looking at a little bit of a more extended panorama, looking from the north over here, northwest, heading over to the east. And, just there's a lot of oddities happening here. We'll go ahead and jump to the enhanced version. So once again, we just see this swath cut through here. And yet, what's supposed to be the moon is outside of whatever's blocking out, these red-pink colors. I just find it all odd. I don't really have any more answers here. Just wanted to point it out as not being quite right. See what you think is happening. Okay, now we're going to look to the northwest. And once again, we've got these strange little puffs of what doesn't even look like organized, true cloud. And that is because, again, I'm saying it's cloaking cloud activity. We look to the right, cloaking craft. Because look here, it looks like things are phasing in and out of state maybe up here. But, look how they're almost equidistant. They're kind of each on the same angle, and they're cascading downward, it looks like. Here we see some darkened points. So to me, that's machine parts starting to pop out and reveal themselves here. Again, this is not a natural cloud pattern. We wouldn't have, three distinct shapes, in that formation on a sharp angle coming downward. And then we've got on top of it a burst of red-pink color signature, which looks localized, because here everything is going to pure white. And so I'm going to say something is generating that color here locally. Now, when I say that, too, we get some choppy, fuzzy patterning going on in there. That's what I like to call staccato cloud effect, or staccato cloud. And to me, that means, like, even up here, see this darker body could be a huge cloaking craft that sends out electromagnetic wave activity to help disturb, the local atmosphere, to help cloak and hide things. I think that's what's happening here. See what you think. Okay, and then we're going to look at this, looking north-northeast. Again, just a weird standalone, quote-unquote, cloud. That's not a cloud, though. And look, we have some dimension happening in here, like a little piece, standalone piece here, something happening off to the side. There's just no way that that's a natural cloud. And on top of it, again, look at the color signatures. It's like it's illuminating in its own little heat range, has its own little activity going on in here, because everything else is like pure white or this blue. We have a little bit of red-pink going on back here, but, that would not be in the foreground over the white if it weren't for something, of technological means generating its own energy. That's what I'll say about that. But see what you think. Okay, now we're going to be looking to the north, and just a lot of strangeness was going on because we have something coming straight across horizontal, and then something crossing over it down on a sharp angle, which again is not normal cloud activity. It's some type of artificial means. On top of it, it looks like there may be multiple objects with something kind of like a vapor trail happening behind it. And then we have these weird objects here and here, which have a totally different color. They're gray. Everything else is more white in color. And so what's going on with that? These are all more or less in the same zone, the same level of altitude. And then here we get a weird break between this and this that looks like a jigsaw puzzle, cut in between the two. Otherwise, they would fit perfectly together. And that also does not happen with natural cloud activity. And this part of the world, which is South Florida, which is subtropical to tropical, climate zone. All right, now we're going to look at it with enhancement. And not only we see something very curious up here at A, actually I'm going to go back one. We're looking in here. So again, doesn't look like anything. It doesn't look like a natural cloud formation, I'll say that. And then we go here, so we've got a different color signature that tells me there's some type of object happening up here at 8.1. Then we look at B.1, again, just what's this weird movement? Then it gets really strange when we start to look at C. There's a straight line coming across here, this dome-like shape. Something else happening here. So actually, sometimes it's easy to get caught up in little parts and pieces, like down here at D and E. These are each little standalone objects, I'm going to say, of cloaking as well. But it's important to zoom back out and look at the overall picture, because if I look at this as more than just parts and pieces, when I start to look at maybe this is the top deck of an overall craft, then it gets real interesting. And it starts to actually make more sense. So here we've got something that could be, an object on top of the deck creating shadow. And this, dome-like structure, it looks like even has like a fenestration or like a window opening looking out. So I'm going to say that would be like the command deck. And then this would be the top, and then we've got stuff maybe gun work or whatever kind of happening below it, and we're just looking at the ends of it. That's something that I could see happening. Otherwise, maybe it's just some other bigger object beyond and smaller craft, kind of floating in the front. That could also be as well. See what you see in this scene, but because I see such straight lines here, really straight lines across this way, that's got intelligent design to it. So I'm going to say, my intuition also is telling me this is a much bigger craft, and these are kind of components like, attached to the underside of this thing. But again, see what you think. All right, then we're going to keep looking to the, northeast now. And again, look at this strange pattern moving off this way. Well, this one's coming in near perpendicular to it. Again, that's not this kind of crisscrossing, intersecting is not a typical pattern in natural cloud systems, at least not over South Florida in decades past. And now we can see why this looks so strange. we have a burst of a brighter object here. It looks like this is a trail that it's kind of been leaving behind. There's something really strange happening up here too. It goes into complete dark shadow. So see what else you might find in this one. And oh, in 8.1 looks like there's a triangular object pitched on angle upward this way. So see what you see in this scene. As I always say, there's a lot going on back in here too. I narrate this show on a bigger format laptop screen when I'm looking at it. But if you're looking at this at a smaller handheld device that takes this image down more toward the scale of a thumbnail, you're going to see a whole different world of information than what I'm seeing. So ideally, one day I'll probably set this up where I can narrate looking at a small image and a bigger image at the same time. But until then, I'm just going with what I see, and I recommend that if you have the luxury of having a bigger laptop screen and a handheld device in front of you, put them like one above the other, and as you watch the show, toggle up and look at the big screen and then the lower screen, and then you'll see what I mean. You'll start to see a whole different field of information depending on the scale that you're looking at. All right, but all that said, let's keep going, and also hold on for 1 second. Okay, I'm back. On this one, I want to jump straight to E because this gets really interesting if you see this disc-like shape with a hole in it. And of course, we're going to look at some of these other things as well. Let's see what we have. Look at this. I wanted to say it before I forget. So it looks like a donut, almost like a ring with a darker depression in there. Or maybe it's just, you know, a solid thing, and we're just looking at kind of, I don't know what, you know, would be causing that kind of hole effect. But anyway, very strange regardless, and it looks like we're having movement coming down with it. So if this thing is a disc, look at, we've got like this thing kind of like showing motion behind it, propelling it maybe, or this is another object kind of superimposed on top of whatever's happening beyond, I don't know. But look at, we've got this, this clear shape with a strong edge to it, and then we've got other little, you know, kind of roundish, I'm sorry, I'm a little slow today. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Again, like I said, I'm a little sleepy with disrupted sleep patterns last night. But anyway, we have like this shape too, this rounded shape, but like moving in a totally different direction than this. So as I said previously, you know, you can't have movement going this way and then something coming in perpendicular. And a typical normal sky, you know, in a cloud system over South Florida, if anything, would just be predictable puffy white clouds moving straight along. And keep in mind, there's no wind this day, so it's really impossible to have something zooming in this way and then moving up this way without there being some type of craft or technology going on up there. So look at, we get these straight lines coming down also along with this thing parallel. This seems to be moving upward. I don't know what's going on over here between D and C, but I will tell you we've got straight lines. We've got B.1, this weird thing doing its own thing, moving this way perhaps. We've got a bigger shadow body happening above. And then we have something diving down this bigger shadowy clump back here, 8.1, coming down on its own angle. So I'm going to say there's a whole host of craft going on up in here. And it doesn't look like they're friendlies to each other. There's just so much disturbed movement. I'm going to say there's some type of craft battle going on there. I've caught a nighttime craft battle going on in a previous show called Lightning Show, Epic, Backyard Nighttime or Night Craft Sky Battle, where the backlighting of the lightning, so-called lightning, because I do believe those were all artificial flashes, were backlighting perfect shapes of craft, and that cloud system, that supposed lightning storm system, did not move. It stayed fixed in the sky for about over an hour and a half, and that's just impossible. That's an impossibility if it were a natural cloud system over the skies of Miami. So I've called that one, and I flagged it as a craft battle, and I think that we're dealing with this as well, but in the daytime. See what you think, though. All right, now, where do we begin? You know, the lower photo is the original. You know, we get this huge glare out, what I've called it before. It's an artificial sun. The effects of it, anyway. This is not our original sun. This is way too close, way too huge, and we've talked about it. This big glare out happens and expands to hide a bunch of things happening beyond, between this artificial thing and our original sun that's way farther out, you know, into space somewhere. I've covered the idea, the concept of a solar simulator or artificial sun on previous shows. I've invited you to go look at a ton of other Earth and Sky watching channels on YouTube. that document this as well all over the world. We're noticing this phenomenon with, direct eyes, direct eyeballs on it, direct observation. Plus, people have absolutely nailed it and have called it out and explained it in detail what's going on. Do look at their YouTube channel called The Final Days. She absolutely tells you every component and shows you everything going on with this phenomenon, and using FAA cams and things in Alaska and other places. So do go look at that channel. I think it was called Universal News Media before she had to change it to The Final Days. But The Final Days is the most recent show that's still going, and do look there. Now, she does have religious views that I don't subscribe to, not all of them. So I'm only sending you over there for the direct, hard evidence on what we're seeing, the phenomenon going on with our supposed sun, which is not our sun, that we see every day now. What I'm saying is our original sun has been hijacked at some point, maybe around the years of anywhere between 2014-ish, maybe 2013 to 2015, somewhere in there. There was a conversion and a takeover by artificial tech to veil our original hide, our original sun. And again, all of the reasons are in previous shows that I have, and also on this Final Days channel. Also, like a YouTube channel by Jeff P. And also some very interesting insights and direct evidence by Naughty Beaver and the Nostradamus prophecies, especially 3 years ago. So look around the time frame of 2018. Everyone was really looking and getting into this and onto it. And I've kind of picked up from there, the baton from there, and I've showed it in some of my other shows, because I was only alerted to this as well in 2018. Now look above here with enhancement. What the heck is this thing? How can you have anything coming off the sun like this? The answer is you can't, unless this is artificial and there's artificial activity happening all around it. Look at the color signatures. We have this is staying steady, and then we get a reddish, warm tone happening around it. There's something so off about all of this. Now look, you have a straight line that couldn't be any straighter. Nothing comes out of the sun looking like that. And again, what the heck is going on at 8.1? So we're going to zoom in on that action. And here we go. Come on, look at this. So I'm going to say this is some type of craft, this like vertical capsule. And maybe this is like a little jet trail or plasma trail it's leaving behind. But then look at AA. There's something happening in here too that looks like structure. It has kind of like holes formed in it. Maybe it's ellipsoidal, I'm not sure. And then there's something up here that looks like an object as well at the question marks. Something that looks like a standalone object poking up out of here at BB with a hole in it. And then again, B.2, look at this. It's slightly curved, but dang it, that's a pure form. And I'm going to say that's a craft, and we're seeing it on the edge of it. If you look, I've told you talked about it in other previous shows. If you look at some of the video games lately, I believe they're doing a ton of predictive programming in those. We talked about predictive programming in movies, but of course they're also in video games. And if you look at ones like Eve or Interstellar, you're going to see a lot of craft shapes that are almost like wafer thin on one angle when you look at them. And then of course they have more bulk when they're going on angle. Now actually, the more I look at this as I'm talking to you, I see this clear, crisp edge with shadow under it. And then there also does seem to be a little more meat and potatoes to the scene here underneath. I think I do see a little bit more of an enlarged or a deepened hull, so to speak. And actually, we might be seeing the shadow, of a bigger piece of this thing. We might be kind of looking at it a little bit on the underside. And this might be like a tail section of it happening in here. And again, we have down here echoing, parallel curved lines. Those are craft. And again, the big tip-off is this thing at 8.2. I just see these things are bursting out of here. See what you think, though. And as always, let me know in the comment section below if you have any interesting angles on what you might be seeing. Any different points of view or interesting ones, whether they're, pure fantasy and fantastical, like, oh, I see this in the shape of that quote-unquote cloud, or no, this looks like this, concrete thing, or whether it's based on logic, whatever, let me know in the comment section below if you are so guided. All right, now we're going to be looking at this scene over toward the north, and I believe this is to the north. And a lot of weird activity again. We got something. It was a very active day, let me just say, on this day. So very strange things happening in the sky. So this almost looks like something's moving this way. Again, we've got a perpendicular element to it, and then something happening here, and that's just too intricate and detailed with too much different movement and parts and pieces to it to be a natural cloud formation. Then we have this moving at an opposite angle, this moving down this way. Anyway, this is absolutely something that's worth looking at it with some enhancement, so here we are. And again, you can see what I mean. This object's moving this way, well, this is coming in perpendicular to it. That just does not happen with natural clouds. On top of that, this moving this way. So I think this overall scene has more questions than answers. You know, I can maybe pick out some things with intelligent design down here, but see what you think. I'm a little bit at a loss at this one, but I know none of this is natural. And it looks like some craft just came streaming this way. Something's moving in this way, and God knows what's going on in this glare out down here. All right, now we're looking to the north, and this is really interesting because we have what looks like is trying to look like a more natural, though it's not, cumulus cloud, formation. But look at this, boom, this blast of something shooting right out of it. You can't tell me a normal cloud does that. No way. And now with enhancement, you see it even better. Got more solid object, a break, and then like an absolute elongated triangular shape. That's it. That doesn't come out of a cumulus cloud in any planet I know of. I mean, I've been on this planet for decades. I've never seen that. And now we're starting to see this all the time. Then we look up here at A, B, and C, and these look like standalone objects to me. And maybe something cloaking back in here too. Anyway, we're going to keep moving on. We're going to look at D.1 a little closer. Actually, I don't know what happened to my little D.2 label. It might have gotten buried somewhere else in the photo. But anyway, call this D.2. We're zooming in, so now we see that this triangular element is very different in character than whatever is happening over here, because we see different color signatures. We also see that break between the two. So what the heck is going on here? See if you have anything interesting angles. Again, let me know in the comment section below if you feel like it. All right, then we're going to look at this scene, looking to the north-northwest. And again, lots of strange activity. These clouds are kind of like not even well put together if they're supposed to be cumulus clouds. So I'm calling that as artificial cloud and cloaking material. We got weird movement and stuff happening at E, because how do you have a natural cloud that's moving along like this with a notch in it, and then coming with a straight line here, and then totally different movement all down here? The answer is you don't, without it being artificial or some type of cloaking things happening in here. Now, the more I look at this, there's so much going on in here that I am going to leave this to you to look at more in your own time. But right away, I see a darker object back here with a perfect straight edge, straight edge, straight edge. To me, that's some type of triangular craft, launching off this way in the background. 8.1 could also be a triangular shape. We've got triangular bits popping out, hard edges all over the place. What the heck, how do you have a natural cloud that then all of a sudden bears down an angle this way and like dog legs back toward us in the screen this way? The answer is you don't. And then we see this kind of cloaking material. We see some bright point over here. Just a lot of mysterious activity if this is supposed to be a natural cloud, which I know for sure it is not. So then we zoom in on E.2. I was trying to get better at what's going on in here. But again, this overall system had so much particulate in it. This is the best I could get out of my little camera phone. But it's enough to show that there's a bright, bright object here. And whether that's a hole and we're looking beyond, which I don't think so because we've got other darker color here, or that's like a standalone part, popping out of this cloaking material that we're seeing, which is possible. This also could be a standalone sensor or a little sensor craft or something flying in front of this whole thing. Hard to say. But look at this darker object happening down in here. That's a standalone object. There seems to be some type of movement with intelligent design going on up here as well. See what you see in this overall scene. All right, now this is still that overall assembly. We're just moving into that weird little break and notch in it toward the bottom. We also see this strange thing down here, which could be a chemtrail. I'm not really sure at this point. We look at it with some enhancement. Again, whatever the case, some strange activities happening in here. It almost looks like some type of corrugated or folded over metal, but it doesn't look like natural cloud material. That's as far as I can get it. Actually, there's two concentric lines, like if you throw a pebble into the water, you see the lines moving outward. I see those two here. So again, I believe some type of object is happening behind all of his dark camouflage and cloak. All right, then we're going to look to the west now, and just look at this. Come on. That's not a normal cloud system. What's going on? How come we have this kind of divide here? Things, a sharp angle there, a sharp angle there of cloud material supposedly. And then we have this in front of it. That's not a fire and smoke. That's artificial clouds sitting there. So here we go. We're going to look at it with some enhancement. We get at the red-pink color signatures here. We got weird lines popping up out of here that are very hard. So that could be some type of cloaking craft going on back there. We get this weird line moving across in this little clearing. Strange movement coming down here all over the place. What the heck is going on here? And then we get this, more golden activity happening in here. So something's happening right here where all of this is kind of, intersecting, colliding. Something with definite form is happening over here in shadow. I'm going to say there's cloak and craft all over the place in this scene. Then we move into here looking southwest and look at this standalone shape. Can never call that or confuse that with a regular cloud. And it's also on top of it a dark gray color while nothing else is around it. So you better believe we're going to look at this with some enhancement. And here we go. We see it, cloaking material wafting over the front of this thing, or the top of it, presumably. We've got I'm trying to think, it's almost like a vegetable, like a bulbous carrot or turnip, and, like with its sprouts at the ends. But this is also looking very fin-like. And look at this. We've got a sharp line, straight line. You can even see this little cloaking material just gingerly going over the edges of this thing. This looks like a standalone shape too. I don't know, see what you think, what the heck that thing is. But I'm going to tell you that has absolutely intelligent design to it. And is nothing that would belong in a natural, system in our sky, cloud system. And then we've got darker object 2 kind of coming down here. So once again, this is a sky that has a lot of action going on. Even when we look beyond here, look at this. We've got like a form, and then we have like a break going around it, almost like a force field going in front of it. So this one's pretty mysterious. See what you find in here. And look at the scale of this thing compared to the trees below, and it's very low in the sky. All right, this is looking to the north, and just strange. Again, we've got this ragtag, bits of things which cannot be confused with regular clouds. And then even something arcing here at A, triangular form at B. So we look at it with enhancement. Kind of have something like a disc on angle swirling around here. But look, see what you see in here. I do see that there's got to be cloak and craft. These aren't natural things in our sky. All right, now we're going to look south. And on the left-hand side is the original. The right-hand side is the enhancement. We'll spend our time in the enhanced version. What's this diving down at 8.1 that looks like it has holes in it, or something illuminating on the top of it? Darker body in here. This straight line's coming into it. So what's going on here? Is this something that is like a craft, and we're looking at it like vertical, and that's like a jet propulsion or some kind of stream of how it powers itself, a burst of energy? I don't know. We've got this kind of coming in on a similar angle. I don't know what this is supposed to be down here, and look at the way these things are just kind of cascading over this thing. I'm at a loss for this one. See if you have any good ideas on what's going on. This is similar, so now we're kind of looking at this object, and we've got a trail coming behind it. Again, I don't know if these are holes or if this is self-illumination of some type. Standalone object happening down here. Mysterious things happening behind this extreme veiled and cloaked activity. See what you see. I see cloak and craft. All right, now we're going to look at this one again. How bizarre. Looking east, northeast, toward the evening, toward sunset. Look at this. Look at all this stuff diving down this way. Everything down on this angle. What the heck is causing that? This is, again, tropical, subtropical Florida. There's no wind movement. There's nothing that could be causing that unless there's some type of tech involved with self-propulsion. Anyway, we're going to look here, and we see something really odd happening here that's broken away from whatever else this is. There's just so much oddity in this. I almost can't even comment, and I don't think I will. I just see this looks like a standalone craft with 2 tubes at the end of it. Something strange is happening in here as well. Look at the different color signatures. We go from gray to a little bit of greenish gray. This overall thing looks like some weird body. It's symmetrical with a line here, curve here, totally symmetrical. So I'm going to say that we're looking at one big craft or a couple of big craft and little parts and pieces, floating around it. See what you see in there, though. That one's really, really unusual and strange. Okay, now this gets interesting, too. Looking south, again, toward the evening, sunset. We're going to look at this with some enhancement, and this gets really interesting. And also this, look, this is, again, once again, 2 specific things moving down this way. Well, this is coming almost straight even. So that won't happen in a natural cloud system, and for as far as movement. So then we look at 8.1 and we see why there is something going on. I mean, this almost looks like fish bones or something. These ridges. It's like a flattened, pointed, elliptical shape with some type of indentation on the side. And then we have these like prong-like things sweeping down, like symmetrical too. And some whiter thing is popping out here, so that at the edge of this ridge. So that looks like design, something technology, some type of designed element. We get this weird red-pink signature happening up here, gold down here, and weird activity looks like it's cloaking back here as well. See what you see. Okay, the left is the original, the right is the enhanced version. Just a lot of strange staccato cloud activity, a lot of choppy and fuzziness, and weird angles and coloration. So we look to the right, and I just see an object coming down this way, something maybe crossing in front of it in the foreground. Weird structural things happening in here. It looks like designed activity with a heavy kind of ripple effect going on in front of it from that staccato cloud effect. Then again, look at the red-pink signature. To me, that's some type of object. It looks symmetrical. We got a rounded back, straight line, straight line. So it looks like a cone shape with like a rectangle popping up out of it. So I'm going to say again, we've got tech up in here. See what you see. Okay, this one, again, strange formation, just looking at it with the naked eye on the left. And then we look to the right. Look at the color signature here. Bam! Red, pink. Again, look at the description box below of what could be generating local here. We have a, dark form, kind of backlit. You see that darker form. So I'm going to say that's like a standalone craft in there. Something else is likely happening in here. And then what's going on down here? We got a curve, if you follow my cursor, with an element that's smacking into it perpendicular once again. So this is obviously some type of tech, some rigid geometry formation. That's why I'm saying it's cloak and craft or other technology. All right, now we're looking here, and again, not only is this a highly odd non-cloud, so artificial cloud, but look at this moving off an angle, and this doing its own thing. And there's some kind of relationship between D and E. We're going to take a closer look. First, we'll put some enhancement on here to see a standalone triangular shape up here at the front, something else happening, like a rigid rectangle in the back, something on top of it, weird things happening in here. And then we're going to look at D and E a little bit better. Here we go, we're going to zoom in on D and E, and it looks like we have 2 parts here and 2 parts here. They both look like they have similar means of attachment. So look at this. These are like cords or bands that are binding these, like connecting them together. Same thing here. This is a triangular form and a more cylindrical-ish form. Kind of looks like a baby root bar. But look at, again, these 2 bands. It's almost like one thing is towing the other. Like this thing is towing this thing. And then it's weird. It doesn't look like this is towing this. It looks like this is like pushing forward or carrying this. I don't know. It's really strange. But I did capture this on a cover in one of my really early shows where there was some type of object with the same type of this dual strand attachment. So to me, again, it's absolutely some type of advanced technology doing this in our skies with cloaking material over it. But see what you think. No matter what, you can't have one thing popping on angle and the other thing level right next to each other. And then this one, hard edge, triangular form, near symmetrical. And then, this going on one angle, this going on another, and also that going on a different angle from these 2 things. So, to me, again, it's got to be some type of intelligent design moving through the sky. All right, now, left hand is the original, right hand side is the enhanced version. Again, we've got that red-pink signature burst happening. We've got this straight and level, near level, horizontal line of something coming out of here. While this is rising up, and look at this groove, like this trench split right there on this more triangular form. And it looks like this thing is like zooming into the picture, at least to me anyway, from the upper left side. See what you see is whatever's going on in here, but you got to admit that's got to be some type of intelligent design, because we've got a clean line here and these grooves moving this way. See what you see. All right, now we're going to look at this piece at A. It's just a standalone form. Looks very interesting with some texture and things going on in there. Different color signatures happening right above it. So we're going to look at it a little bit more coming up after this. This is a little bit blurry because it was getting so dark at the time I was taking this with my camera phone. But I wanted to capture, not only did the moon feel strange as it was rising, with a weird cloud formation right next to it, but then also we have these things on angle happening, weird activity happening all over the place. So I still thought it was worth looking at it with some enhancement, even though it's blurry. And boy, am I glad I did, and this is the cover photo. So here we go. Not only was the moon looking really weird, but look at the shape of this thing, whatever is sitting right next to it. And actually, in a previous show, had something similar where we had the moon and then like really red pink signature all right next to it in a weird shaped cloud. That's happening again. Then what's even odder is this. Look at this. Follow my cursor. Bam! I'm slamming a perpendicular into this thing. So this again looks like a standalone craft with a little trail happening behind it. I don't know what this is though. I don't know if that's such a good power surge of this thing, like moving up this way or what. And then we have a standalone thing over here too. It looks more triangular in form, whiter in nature, and it looks like it's like moved down into position from here. They still seem to have some type of relationship to each other, I'm going to say. See what you see in here. Highly strange is this photo, I'm going to say. Maybe have some interesting angles on what's going on. Okay, now we're going to go back to that little standalone figure. I was trying to move in and like change the contrast and stuff up on it just to see if we could get at any better what's going on in here. I really couldn't, but it's still pretty interesting. So we're going to zoom in on it one more time, even though it's grainy and fuzzy because it got dim outside plus of all the particulate. But anyway, let's look at it, and here we go. Color signature wise, it's still enough to make out that we have an independent triangular form. Maybe it zoomed in this way, I don't know. But we have other interesting color signatures popping up over here. So once again, I'm going to say we are dealing with multiple cloaking craft in that vicinity. Okay, now we're going to look at this southeast. Again, it's dim, but look at this. You definitely see something's happening here that's different from everything else. Something here too, something moving in down this way. A lot of different action going on in this scene. So C.1, it really jumps out as being an object with this enhancement. Something else happening at A, and B is kind of its own thing with the red-pink signature, and this dark shadow moving down behind it. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm back. All right, now this is the photo of the day and the close of the show, and I want to say thank you for looking over at some interesting things here a while. I just have a little trio of photos this time around of some various raw natural crystals I came into my most recent batch, and I just love these things. These are raw natural crystals just with some water over them. I do soak them 24 hours, and then I let them dry out and don't put any kind of other finish on them. So we've got serpentine, we've got yellow jasper, green opal, red jasper or chestnut jasper. I think this is desert jasper over here. Amazonite in some matrix of some kind, chrysocolla in matrix, chrysocolla up here, chrysoprase in matrix down here, the greenish ones. I'm not sure what this green stone is. It's gorgeous though. Labradorite down here, rose quartz up here, clear quartz, blue calcite, and we have amethyst, and I think that's about it for now. So anyway, again, thanks for being here, and I wish you a gorgeous right now, tremendous peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.